Welcome back on another adventure. Setting off for leaving Poole 8 o'clock in the morning. It's a little overcast, but not a bad day. The air temperature's probably about 12-13 degrees. When we came in, there wasn't many ships travelling up and down the main channel, so we thought we'd go back out the main channel. Unfortunately, a ship come down it and chased us out of it. It seems to be quite shallow around the main channel, which surprises me when I see much bigger boats than me flying past me, even in shallower waters. They must be completely flat-bottomed. As this boat passes, look behind it. It looks like one of the vessels from World War II landings. I don't know if it is though. The building in the background marks the east corner of Brownsea Island. I don't know what it's called. My big fear is just around the corner, the chain ferry. We plan it right though, we watch him, wait for him to pull up on one side and start loading. The opposite side obviously is clear, but you can see the size of the chains that he uses, huge things. As soon as we pass him, we relax a bit and turn the motor off. Sailing down towards Strutland Bay, I'm surprised to see a man out in his little dinghy fishing in the middle of the main channel. I'm sure he won't be happy if the high-speed cat comes out. On the end of Strutland Bay, there's these two big rocks there. They're called Old Harry and Old Harry's wife. I don't know which one's which. Again, solid lumps of chalk. There's a lot of chalk around here. As you round this, you come into Swanage Bay, where we're going to stay for a day. We plan on dropping the hook about here, as long as there's space for us. Why leave from Swanage and not Poole is because it's quite a long crossing, 65 miles, and we don't need anything adding to it. To get to Brixham is where we want to go, and we want to do it in one hit. So, Swanage, it's a nice place to start from. It's quite a pretty place, and there seems to be a lot going on, and you can anchor in fairly close to the beach. There is swim markings to keep you out of no swim zone, so you can't really go wrong. Also, there's a lot of little red motorboats. Well, they look like speedboats painted up, but they only have a titty little engine on the back of them, say a 4-horse. They're for hire, they're everywhere, lots of fun. As if that cat's not big enough, they put a greenhouse on top. When night falls, it all looks very pretty. And it calms down a little bit until the boy racers come out screeching in the cars. The next morning, 8 AM, we set off. We punched the tide down to Daleston Head, but then we've got it with us. It should carry with us for the next 6 hours. We want it to take us past here, Portland Bill. We stay well out from the race. We see a number of boats out there, lurking in no wind, motoring along. For the first half of the journey anyway. While Lisa's sleeping down below, I see a little bit of a commotion on the surface, and when I look, it's dolphins coming to see what's going on. There's not much going on here, boys. They soon realise that. Have a swim around me a couple of times and then disappear. If the sails are up and you're burying your bow, they seem to want to have a swim with you, but they're not really interested in motors. However, it seems to be quite a big pod, and over the next 5 minutes or so, they all seem to want to pass one by one time or another. Well, if I get some wind, I hope they come back and they can spend some time at my bow then. But for now, Mr. Dolphin, I must bid you farewell. It's not long before I start getting some of the southwesterly promised wind. We're supposed to have 8 to 10 knots and maybe make some headway with it. As the wind begins to fill in, it's not actually strong enough to sail alone on, so I keep myself motor sailing for the beginning. It then starts to pick up, but starts turning a little bit westerly as well, which is quite tight on the nose. Because we're still carrying a bit of tide, we get a little bit of wind over tide horizon as it grows, and it starts making a little bit of a chop, making for a bouncy sail, bit of splashing going on. You think 6 tons is enough to carry a boat through any wave, but it's not. When you get the sequence quite right and a bluff bow, you can actually be stopped almost in your tracks, and you can lose a knot and a half in one whack. She seems, though, Once she gets in a bit of a groove, she's quite well at pushing her way through. Motion is nothing other than silky smooth at all times, never spilling a drop of tea. Not forgetting though, we've still only got very light airs going on here. The wind starts to increase a little bit past what we originally forecast, and it doesn't settle much when the tide turns. We've got wind with tide, but we still seem to have a chop, but we're managing to punch through, so that's okay. On the plus side, I did get the chance to play with the mainsail, and I found that I could get the shape in it, and boy did it set perfectly and pull like a train. Quick look, what's on the AIS? Oh, you missed it. You don't see that very often. Well, there she is, on a collision line with me. It's the Queen Mary 2. What whopper is that? She's still coming to get me, but she won't catch me, because I'm doing over 5 knots and she's doing 10, and I'm at a bow at the moment in line of sight. Anyway, I tinkle on past her into the sunset. That means evening's not that far away. Our ETA for Brixham is somewhere before 10 o'clock and somewhere after 8 o'clock, depending on what the conditions allow for us. It's picked up now a bit. We were supposed to have force 2 to 3, but we're up to a force 5 at the moment and still ploughing along, and that's quite tight on the nose for this boat, definitely. As we arrive in Brixham, a welcome sight, not a minute too late, we spot the anchorage ahead of us and head for it. Once in the anchorage, we drop our hook, and it's a lovely sunset and everything seems so much calmer, the world seems so much at peace. There's not much besides the natural sounds round here, except a group of kids up on a hill, playing, having a lot of fun. Well, they won't be doing that too long, because as the sun goes down, it'll go dark in that field. Well, that seemed a long crossing, and there's only a few boats in this anchorage. But further outside, in the bay, Tor Bay, there's quite a lot of ships at anchor. I think these are big cruise ships that would normally be a lot of other places in the world, but I think COVID has restricted them to here. In the words of Zebedee, time for bed. It's been a mill pond all night, so the next morning I get up handy, crank the motor up and start motoring down the coast. I want to get round to Salcombe, where I can relax for a couple of days. Lisa's still fast asleep, probably doesn't even know I've gone. There's some sharp looking cliffs on the way out of Brixham. There's lobster pots everywhere, so I've got to keep my eyes peeled. It is a good flat calm though. As I round Start Point, I'm glad of the flat calm, because even with slack water and flat calm, there's still disruption here. This could do anything it wanted to, wind over tide. Just around the corner though is the welcome entrance to Salcombe. Looking forward to spending a couple of days here with a bit of R&R. Well, here we are, moored up and breakfast's on the table.